And you've got private. Just a minute, come to me. Right. Everybody is in the studio. We're just waiting for Bridgetti. As soon as Bridgetti arrives, I will add Bridgetti. And Bridgetti, no, not here yet. Okay, it's Wednesday. It's 10 a.m. Eastern. It's 3 p.m. in England. And today we are talking about customizable guest invitations. Now, we're going to get around to that, but I thought this is a guest show that I would actually bring in some guests. So these are people who, over the years, I've got to know, who I broadcast with, who have my total respect, and they're about to introduce themselves in the order that appear on the screen, because they're from all over the world. I've got broadcasters from England, Ireland, Portugal, Belgium, South Africa shortly, and I think that's it. Have I missed anybody? I don't think so. Everybody's silent. So, without further ado, let's start the live broadcast with introductions all round. And go here. There we are. Who's going to go first? Can anybody?
I think we should start with the ladies.
I think we should.
Okay.
Chris, it's over to you.
Okay. I am Chris and I am from Belgium. I am a freshly retired teacher, and what I want to become, that's a YouTuber. A YouTuber with a live stream and also recorded broadcasts for antique collectors. So I will have much work, but I have a very good coach, which is Gord IJsman from Canada. And I love to do that. I will enjoy it as much as possible. And of course, I will invite guests who are experts in their own antique specialty. So that was me.
Chris. Any volunteers?
I volunteer for the to go next. Yeah, so I am Nick Wood. I live in Farnborough in the UK. It's the home of the International Air Show every 2 years. That's what we're famous for. Pretty much nothing else, really. I am very lucky. I get to live stream with Stephen, normally on a Tuesday. We have the movie quiz, which is all cool. But I'm a digital marketer. Lots of things. Live streaming, Shopify expert, I guess now. So I have a part-time agency, and then I do all my affiliate marketing and have fun in the afternoon. So I do a bit of work in the morning and then a lot of fun in the afternoon. So yeah, that's about me in a nutshell.
Right, so welcome to Bridgetti. And basically, welcome, Bridgetti. We're just going around everybody, just gentle introductions because, well, we're on a new channel. So who's going to go next? Chris has been, Nick has been. If you've got 3 seconds, I'll nominate somebody.
Bridgetti.
They're so shy.
Bridgetti.
The lady.
Yeah.
Hi, well, thank you so much for this invitation, first of all. So for everyone who doesn't know me, I'm in Cape Town in South Africa, and I wear multiple hats as digital storytelling advocate. I'm also an executive live stream producer, talk show host, global goodwill ambassador, and an author. And I have always been a bit of a maverick, trailblazing, live streaming pioneer because I can, and I really enjoy it. And I love content that blends information, education, and some entertainment across various platforms.
Brilliant. Thank you, Bridgetti. Okay, my name's Stephen. I'm based in Wiltshire, England. I'm a live broadcaster, and every time I move somebody on screen, poor Grant disappears. So who knew? Let's try again. So I'm going to bring you in, Grant. Oh, wait a minute. No, somebody's disappeared now.
That was Joe.
Right, okay. And I broadcast every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. in the UK on the OneStream Live channel. We talk about OneStream Live and everything to do with live broadcasting. This week is about interviewing and also about co-hosting and about, well, let Marco decide what we're talking about.
So, today we're gonna talk about Portuguese history. So welcome everybody. I'm Marco Novo, and thank you so much, Stephen, for inviting me to join this panel. It's a pleasure to be with so amazing people, which I know for a long time. So I started back in 2015 live streaming. I think back to those days, the webcam was just invented 2 or 3 weeks before. So we were waiting for the webcam to be released to start live streaming. I was kind of that crazy person in my country that was saying this live streaming will be a thing. And they were stood at me like, what are you drinking? The thing is, after this almost 90 years, I became worldwide live producer. I've been doing Amazon Live as well. I think I'm one of the fewest Portuguese creators on Amazon. The other one, it's Victoria's Secret model from Portugal. So I think in the
You're in
terms,
good company.
yes, I think Portuguese people make the difference because of the beauty, as you can see. And I've been doing lots of things, and most importantly, being meeting amazing people around the world, like you can see right now, and enjoying a lot about live streaming, and even learning a lot, which is also pretty important. Back to you, Stephen.
Thank you. And we're now going to go over to Ireland and our good friend, Joe.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the invite today. My name's Joe Sheppard, and I live in Ireland. I'm about an hour south of Dublin on the east coast, and we're glad that the storms have gone. I am head of engagement, founder indeed, and for my sins, and head of live streaming and engagement at livestreamsolutions.org, which goes formally, it is live at the moment, and we've been doing this for about 6 years, but we go formally live with a brand new company. And some of these fantastic people I've managed to coerce into the project on here today on 1st of February, which is the old Irish Imbolc, which is spring. Great day to start a brand new project. And we help businesses and organizations to build thriving communities together. And we do that through elevating their brand, through storytelling, live streaming, and engagement. And I'm self-taught in this. I say self-taught. I started about 6 years or so ago, just me in an office, none of this fancy stuff here. As Marco says, it was pretty bleak in my office then, doing rugby shows. We built out a set of global rugby shows. I've done work with Stephen, with Bridgetti, mixed with Nick before. We've done lots of stuff with Marco as well. They are all part of the team we've brought together. And the reason that we have set up livestreamsolutions.org and we've got an academy which underpins to train people is because it is an untapped market, and live streaming is the best way to meet brilliant people like these. I mean, look at this. Almost 60, face for radio, and yet I'm still reasonably successful. So some people would say, as a live streamer, Grant, across the UK.
Right, and we come back to England and over to Yorkshire and to Grant.
Hi, my name's Grant. I think I'm the baby of the bunch when it comes to live streaming. You guys have absolutely been doing it since the beginning. I came to live streaming, as a lot of people did, when the pandemic hit. I was a performer and kind of everything dried up. But I was introduced to it by the godfather of live streaming, Mr. Stephen Healey himself. And he kind of set me on the right path into doing that. And it's been an absolutely fantastic thing. It has accelerated my authority in my niche, as well as my business. And it's now a big part of my business. I run my Amazon Lives. I run a live stream for my local community. I run a live stream for the hypnosis community, the wedding business. It's absolutely amazing. Live streaming is a great thing for anyone to get involved in to kind of showcase themselves or their business. And a lot of that is thanks to Mr. Healey himself. But yes, Grant Saunders from Yorkshire, the centre of the universe, I'm told.
and the home of Yorkshire tea.
Yorkshire tea, proper
If you've
tea.
not tried Yorkshire tea, do. You should be able to get it in Portugal as well, Marco.
Yes.
Okay, so
about tea.
we do unbelievably have an agenda. We're going to start off with the agenda, and then it could go any which way. So I'm just going to bring this full screen. And the agenda today is the introduction, which we've just done. Why do you have guests on your show? How do you find the guests? Then we're going to talk about OneStream Live guest invitations, the custom ones, and then researching for the broadcast before you go live, actually running the show. And then the opposite to actually hosting a show and having a guest is to be a guest on somebody else's show. And then we'll wrap things up. So let's go back to everybody. Hopefully, I think back to everybody. Anybody missing? Put your hands up if you're here. Right. Okay. So topic number one, which we're going to go with is, why do you have a guest on your show? And it's quiet. Everybody's gone quiet. Well, when this, everybody's thinking, when I was given, basically, just like Grant, I'm given a topic every week to broadcast about, and I start off knowing nothing about the product. I spend half a day researching, then planning the following day, and then eventually go live at 10 a.m. Eastern every Wednesday. But that's just me on my own. This, as I proved today, this show had the word guest in it. So I thought to myself, who would I like to have as my guest? And I've got 6 of my best broadcasting buddies. Because I've got to be honest here, I sent out 6 invitations, just 6 invitations, and I got 6 yeses. So thank you, everybody. That's an amazing response. Right place, right time, as we all know. And now we want to talk about, I know somebody who has a guest on her show every time she goes live, and that's the lady to the right of me. So, Bridgetti, why guest show? What's the benefit of having a guest on the show?
Well, firstly, for me, I started out live streaming because I realized it was a way to amplify people's voices. Before the avenue of live streaming opened up to us, before it became an option to people just like us, I used to gather people together in person, and then my life changed when my health became a lot more challenging, and I felt like a bit of, at a loose end. I didn't know how to move forward. I was stuck. And then when live streaming became an option, I decided, well, I'm going to learn this, and I'm not going to lie, it was not easy. It was quite a path, but it was fantastic having all of you as part of this journey and learning the technology, which now, has come a long way from where we started. We have so many more options, but I digress. So I started out wanting to amplify other people's voices, and that's mainly why I have guests on my show. And to be honest, I never really struggle to find guests. I never have to beg people to be on my show or even twist their arm. I've always found it exceptionally easy to find a guest. But the other reason why guests are fantastic is I discovered it's a way for me to learn things. So if there's something I'm interested in and I want to learn about, whether doesn't matter what the topic is, I will reach out to a guest that I want to learn from, and I'll have them as a guest on my show. So those are the 2 biggest reasons why I have guests.
Right. And basically, the shows, I enjoy watching everybody's show, but there's one gentleman from Portugal who does the most amazing interviews.
Ooh, I want to have him. So I was listening to to Bridgetti. And one of the things I completely agree, and I believe that we all agree, it's the fact that we learn a lot when we have guests. And it's not just in the technical side of the thing, even though, of course, technical side, it's good. For instance, I don't know about you, but at the beginning, having guests, and mainly those that we could say were a little bit higher profile, we need to manage the stress as well, because we are there. Oh my God, he will be on time, she will be on time. Will we have people watching the live show? It's something that will go wrong. How can I manage that? And after, like, I think all of us, we made more than hundreds of interviews, we start being normal before the interviews. Another, and this was the first main reason why I wanted to have guests, because it's funnier. Okay, being in front of the camera, what mainly when we are starting, it's an awkward situation. It's a little bit uncomfortable as well. So if we have someone at least on our side that we can talk to, like telling a joke and these kind of things, it makes things way easier, more fun, even funnier to those who are watching us, because at the beginning we kind of, if we are alone, we are scared what people are thinking about me. Do they think that I'm crazy in talking to a camera? So I believe that the fun thing of the thing, it's also a thing. And we should not just think that people, for instance, they just want to get a lecture from us and then we leave. They want a warm moment. And as a Latin people, I think this is even more important. Another nice thing is to grow our community, okay, as they will bring their community to watch us. Hopefully they will promote the live show, like I'm gonna go to Marco's show, so come with me and let's have a good time. So that's a nice way for us to increase our exposure, and also for the guests. This is a win-win situation. I would say this is a win-win-win situation, because another thing is that we will allow our viewers, our community, to learn from different voices, different perspectives, and I believe this is important as well. And to last but not the least, as a personal brand perspective, this is also important. It's a nice shortcut to kind of increase our brand value, because I like to call this the authority contagious, because if we are bringing high profile people to our live shows, this will mean that somehow we could be a high profile person too, because we know that they don't accept. Well, maybe if it's Bridgetti inviting, they will say yes for sure. This is something, and probably we will be talking about this as well, about invitations, about how we should kind of insist about the invitation. This is important as well, and also, and it's in the agenda, how we should behave as guests, because it's important as well. But the thing is, in a personal brand perspective, having guests, it's a really wise decision. Back to you, Stephen.
Thank you very much. I basically, guests give you another option. If you're just live by yourself and you've got a 60-minute show, you've got to talk for 60 minutes. If you've got a guest, then the rule is that they should speak more than you do. So in an hour show, they might speak for 40 minutes and you listen for those 40 minutes. And that's one of the magic of interviewing, is to actually listen to what people are saying. And then you've only got 20 minutes to talk. So you don't have to be on screen as often. But somebody who's on our screens every week is this gentleman from Yorkshire, Grant.
Hey.
Okay, now you do a lot of interviews.
For me, it started out of necessity, but just like Michael just said then, what a great way to fast track your authority within your niche. What a great way of building networks. And people that used to be my competition in my niche are now friends on the back of kind of the interview, where you do a bit more research behind your guest and you really build that kind of connection. I kind of call it kind of, rather than competition, it's collaboration. And it's kind of, these are people that are in my same niche, we do kind of go for the same work, but we're actually helping each other grow. And like was just said then, it brings their network to me, my network to them. And, you know, I could almost be evangelical over it. It transformed my business from being a local performer in Yorkshire to, you know, I now travel the world in my niche because of those interviews. It literally put me, I was fortunate enough to be able to get lots of high profile guests, and people then associate me as the same caliber of them because I'm interviewing them. And what a great leveler live streaming is, because at the moment it's still very new. So it doesn't matter if you're a Vegas headliner of 50 years, these guys are still nervous when they're going on camera for a live stream. And so that's just, everybody's kind of got that equal footing. And it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. And guests, like you said, bring something that's unexpected. And so it brings a new energy to it. When it's scripted and it's just you driving forward, it can be a monologue. When you've got a guest on, they could say something crazy. They can go off script. Anything could happen. So it keeps you excited and nervous, but that keeps the audience engaged as well, I think. So absolutely love guests.
I love guests as well. And one particular guest, my memory still goes back to the first time I met Chris. And the first interview that Chris ever did on live video. Do you want to tell the story, Chris, and talk about your show since then?
Absolutely. That was a very special interview because it was more than 40 years that I didn't use English at all. And I have also a shout out to Marco because that's the one who said, just try it and do it. And now I am an international student. I study in Canada. So you see all the things that can happen to be a guest sometime in a broadcast. And the first interview, that was something special. I was a teacher. It was the pandemic. I couldn't go on the streets anymore with the students because we had a lockdown here in Belgium. And I want to save my projects because projects, that is money, that are subsidies. So I must save them. And then I found Steven on YouTube. I learned how to stream with Be Live. And yes, I have done some things that are special. I couldn't do marketing like normal people who have a business. And Stephen has seen that, and he has invited me to an interview. And that I was very nervous for it, but it was the beginning of live streaming for me. And now I like it. I can't live without guests for my show because it's a show for antique dealers and also for antique collectors. I have some pieces here in the house, but of course I don't have all sorts of antiques in the house. So I must show what people must see when they are evaluating a piece. And therefore, I need the experts, so they can show that with their goods. Without guests, it isn't impossible to make such a channel. And I like the guests for three things. They bring humor, they bring life in the broadcast. And also, you learn, just like Bridgetti said, I learn things about domains which don't have a speciality in, like silver. I know the basics of silver. I have studied 2 years antique, but not a specialty in silver. Now I can learn that in the broadcast myself. And I can also do a special thing. I can talk with the guests in an interview. So I can learn more from their perspectives too. And that's very interesting to meet people from all over the world, to see their perspectives and to discuss. And live streamers are always helping each other. That is the most beautiful thing that I could discover in live streaming with guests.
I think that's
So true.
always been true. And everyone here supports and helps each other. If we need anything at all, somebody's always there to help. And it's But there's no competition here. We're all on the same page. We all want to live broadcast. We all want to enjoy doing it. And my co-host on my Tuesday show is a certain gentleman from Hampshire. And if you talk about not just guesting, Nick, but about co-hosting, because so you've got to invite somebody, because somebody hosts and somebody's co-host.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes life so much more fun if you actually are a co-host, and particularly now when we've got the ability to actually co-produce as well. Then that takes a lot of pressure off. We can both put ourselves on the camera when we need to, because that's one of the issues. When I very first started with live streaming sensibly, I was actually behind and I was producing, and so it was knowing the cues in order to switch around the different frames and different extra elements and the B-rolls. But then when you're actually producing and live streaming at the same time, it's a bit like riding a unicycle and balancing plates on sticks. It can be a little tricky. So when there's the pair of you, it works really well. And the time genuinely just flies. I was going to tell you very quickly, when the lockdown came, I'd live streamed before then, but I'd always wondered what on earth was I talking about, And so when the lockdown came, I said to my wife, very quick story, I said, right, I'm just going to hold an hour's space every day for a local business person to come on. I'll interview them and see whether they were still open for business, etc., etc. And so my genius idea, of course, no one really knew. So I spent the first 3 days just talking to myself because no one knew it was there. But bless Facebook, and Facebook are quite good sometimes. They gave a very dormant Facebook page I used just this crazy 75,000 odd reach per show. And after 3 days, and this kind of runs into the next item on the agenda. After 3 days, a lady reached out to me and said, "Oh, I've got a business network on Facebook, a group. Could you interview some of the people?" And so that just opened up a whole raft of people that I could then invite, and we got the shows going. And I was doing one person a day, and then I was doing 2 or 3 people who were in that section. And the best bit of advice I ever got was actually from my wife, who said, "Nick," she said, "I love you dearly, but when you're interviewing someone, will you just shut up?" Because I was like, "This is my show. It's my show. I'm in control here." No, it was great. I'd give them like 5 questions. We'd have a little run of show. I'd say, "Look," and I'd give them the questions beforehand. I'd say, "Look, this is what I'll ask you.
Yeah.
If it runs for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, no dramas, that'd be perfect." They all ran for over an hour. Once they got started and I shut up, then it was heaven. They just talked and talked and talked. And then I'd have to say, "Oh, look, we have to go now because the hour's up," but we overran. Sort of. And it was just the most ideal way to network. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So yeah, always it's one of those things that hearing everybody, I've not had an interview for a while. So I'm thinking I need to dust off my interviewing boots and meet some more people.
Totally. And now there is somebody who brought together the world of club rugby and international rugby in his rugby broadcasts over recent years. And he's starting a new venture. As he said earlier, well, I'll let Joe tell us all about it.
Thanks, guys. I have to say, it's like sitting on the Streamers Hub once a month with DJ Strick. You'll learn so much about mixing with other live streamers, just simple little tidbits, and you think, that's genius. So thank you for that. Guests for me are important. Because the closest I'll ever get to the beautiful Chris is looking like an antique. Face for radio, as we mentioned before. So guests are paramount, lads, absolute paramount. But guests are brilliant, and we'll come on to where to find guests, I know, in the next little bit. But guests bring a diversity, a different perspective of what you're doing. The one thing I never touch, whether it's smaller local businesses, larger organisations, lifestyle, or any of my rugby shows, is we never did clickbait. I never made any money really from my global set of rugby shows that we started, because it was about promoting other people. I was promoting small and local businesses because they were my friends or I liked them and I used their product. Why wouldn't you? So guests are brilliant because they just bring an energy, they bring a diversity, they bring a different perspective to life, and you don't have to listen to me all the time. Now, here's something else I did, because I will come on to how to find guests, because I have a particular niche of doing that, and that's how I built a global set of shows at one point. But when you're dealing with a small local business especially, you bring other clients of theirs in. So, like, for example, we've got a couple of girls up in Ulster, one's South African, one's Irish. They run a snack food and meat company. And what we do with them in the past, we've had some of their people that they collaborate with come on. So we've got guests within guests, which then breaks it up, because it's my expression for 2024 is engagement through collaboration. And that's where this whole idea of livestreamsolutions.org as a full-time business has come from. So when you go to that site, unashamed plug there again, when you go to that site and it says meet the team, nobody is employed by me. We are all we don't have contracts. We have a loose joint venture agreement of what we're going to do, because it's important for me to have you good people on the show to promote what you're doing. So when you go on there, you'll see written bios. You'll see some written bios and video bios as well. You'll see what they're doing. But the whole concept is mine solely, but I'm collaborating with other professional live streamers, business people. We've got a digital marketing agency in the UK who have come on board, and that whole thing, they're all guests. We're working together for a joint aim, and that's the way the guest should be. Because one thing I do is I'm not particularly good at live streaming or anything else, but I'm good at being able to put huge projects together and find the right people who are exceptional. So everybody involved in the team is a guest who has now become a friend. That's why guests are important. There's so many layers to guests, and I'll shut up there. So, because Stephen, you need to put a button on a timer. 60 seconds. Get off, big man.
Right. Time for infotainment. Released recently on OneStream Live is a custom link. Now, we all know that when we get a guest link, it's you if you've got to type it, you couldn't. It's so complex with all the different keys in there, letters in there. As you can see from the link that's on the screen at the moment, it just says Studio OneStream Live, Stephen J, which is me. And I sent this link to everybody before the show. And it's as easy as that. So you can personalize, you can have custom links to invite people, which means that people can identify the system and the person involved. And that's a great step forward. A permanent studio link, and normally, I'm going to say normally, that will get you onto my broadcast anytime, day or night. Now, I'm going to take that off screen for the moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to here. Just a minute. No, to here. Okay, I'm trying to get a format we're all in. Right. Okay, so rather than we'll go to the next topic, but basically I'm going to sit back. I'm not going to drive the conversation, let the conversation begin. And I think if we begin with Bridgetti, who said that finding the guests was, well, if not totally straightforward, she had a niche. Bridgetti?
Sorry, my microphone was off.
Oh, right. Okay. Happens to us all.
I was concentrating or trying to concentrate so hard on what you were saying that I've forgotten the question. So what am I answering?
Right. We've got 5 questions. We've got as far as the second question. The second question is, how do you find guests?
Okay. So I basically am an author myself, and having been in the author community for such a really long time, it's been pretty easy to simply connect with other authors and say, would you like to talk about your book? But beyond that, I've also connected with publishers. One of them, Linda Sunshine West. and she does collaboration books. Now, with collaboration books, you can have up to 20 or more authors in one book. Now, we've just done one book together, which was the live streaming predictions with Ross Brand. Over 100 authors. There's over 100 opportunities to talk to people. And as I said, with Linda's books, she does, her speciality is collaboration books. And I think I've been in 4 or 5 of her collaboration books. So, there's just an overflow of authors. I don't ever run out of authors. So, once you're in the community, it is just pretty easy. In fact, it's really difficult to have enough time to even interview all these authors. That's a huge problem, because I only have so much time, and I'm not getting to all the authors. I wish I could get to so many more authors. In fact, Stephen, you will know, it's almost 6 years ago now since I've started the Writers' Corner live show with Mary. And again, we were able to tap into each other's, because we co-host the show, we were able to tap into each other's networks. I'm in Cape Town, South Africa. She is in Nashville, Tennessee in the USA. And we both have our own networks. We've been able to collaborate and join our networks. So we never have issues finding guests. So it's a nice problem I think, is to never run out of guest resources. But on something completely different, apart from the author shows I've done, I also got into community work, which was another love of mine. And a couple of years ago, Stephen, you know all about that, and I think Marco, and I think most of you know about it as well, is we had a disaster in South Africa. We had the Cape Town water crisis, which became huge international news, and I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about water other than the water cycle I learned many years ago at school, and the fact that it's accessible through a tap or not. And I reached out to water professionals and I said, I would like to start the show and create a space where we can educate the public to make good choices, smarter choices. Would you be willing to be interviewed? I didn't know them at the time. I simply reached out to them and they said yes. So my advice is never be scared to ask. The worst someone can say is no. So don't be afraid to ask people. I asked them. I have learned so much in the last 4 years from them about water, things I never knew. It's been quite a journey. So don't be afraid to ask and to just reach out to people.
Well, if you ask somebody, there are only 2 options. 3 options. They can say yes, which is brilliant. They can say no, and that's when you make a note to approach them again 3 months down the line. Yeah. Never give up. It's got to be one of the tenets of getting people to interview. Grant, how do you go about finding people to interview?
I was quite lucky in the beginning that nobody was doing anything during the pandemic. But it's kind of tap into your community. That I found it was really lucky. I kind of went through the people that I know would do something with me, and I had 2 or 3 lined up in the beginning. And once you kind of get that momentum and people pick up on your show, it then becomes easier. For me, the challenge was kind of that the ping pong backwards and forwards of messages and the logistics of getting guests on the show. There'd be people that would want to showcase their product or service, but it's about finding that, getting them in at the right time. So I set up a Calendly link just on my Thursday show. And so it was just literally that one date booked in for that one show. And if they were interested in being it, I could send them the link and then they could book in that date months in advance. So that really helped. I also looked for people within my niche or community that had a product or service they were just about to launch or sell. So someone's got a new course coming out, a new book that they're just about to release. People are excited and people love to talk about themselves, especially their businesses. So when you kind of go, oh, you're about to launch your book next month, I'd love to have you come on the show and tell me about your story. and it becomes part of their promo train as such. And that's, if someone's launching something, they're happy to jump on and be a guest. And then by the time, that goes, like it was just said then, you then end up with almost too many guests. Lots of people are queuing up to be on the show then. And so it's managing that, getting that calendar right. But I'm not the most organized person in the world. So Calendly was an absolute game changer.
Now, I'm going to add this to the stream because I think hopefully it's there. We're all still here and that's there. Okay. Now, if you're looking for guests at the moment, as Bridgetti said, and you want to do a series about live streaming, then the place to start is Ross Brand's book, which is available now. Every year for the last 7 years, Ross has put together, he's asked over 100 broadcasters, social media people, what they think is going to happen. Bridgetti, Marco, and I have actually given our ideas. So you've got 3 of the 123 people. You can approach us now for an interview. But it is a great resource, and I've been waiting for Ross to actually start interviewing people. He used to do it, didn't he, Bridgetti?
Yes, he did. And, I've also reached out to co-authors and said, if you want to talk about the book and your prediction, please reach out and let's get a schedule. And I want to just pick up on that idea of Calendly. It works brilliantly because, instead of going back and forth, you can play ping pong for a very long time with people. And Calendly, and I know there are other resources similar to Calendly, but it just eliminates all that ping ponging between yourself and a guest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Joe.
Quite two ways here, 2 sets of guests really. One is the guest. So if you're working with a client or if it's a rugby show, what I did in my rugby shows was I got to the stage where I was hosting, producing, directing everything. And then, not to harbour on fact, but back in June 21, I was in the UK on a visit, fell over, heart attack, cardiac event, they call it now, subsequent triple heart bypass, and I realised I couldn't do everything. So when I came back, I went back to first principles of being a coach, and I set up pods of 3 people for each of the shows, and I trained one of them to be a producer director, and and that is really, really great. Now, one of those, and this ties in the story, one of those, a guy called David Topping, originally was a viewer on my rugby show. So when I started the rugby shows about 6 years ago, there was just me in my office. And what I did was I started to identify those people who put out some good comments, were engaging, were, dare I say, sensible, because not everybody is sensible on social media, let's not deny it. And then what I did was I reached out to them to thank them. I built engagement and I built relationships with them. David was just one. And in fact, everybody who ended up on my show were originally viewers. David was a prime example. David was a viewer. He then became a guest. He then became a co-host, host. He's now a producer, director of his own show, and it starts again on this Thursday night. He's also part of our team now within Livestream Solutions. And so that there, great way, because if you engage with your viewers as well as the guests, they will bring people. That builds that know, like, trust in you, let alone your products and services, because people will buy from you. They will buy into you. They will buy your products and services once they get to that know, like, trust. So your guests, you're going to find anyway through when you advertise to help small and local businesses. Within that, as I said before, they've got people that they joint venture with as well. And then you've got the viewers. So there's a whole raft of people that you get to, like some of the other panelists have said, where you get to the phases too many. We've gone a stage further. At the end of June this year, we're going to work with one of our clients to run a virtual one-day expo, where we're going to the plan is to take 10 of their people that they work in artisan markets every single month, give them 30-minute slots throughout the day. Boom. You're sharing the love. You're helping live streaming grow. You're helping that client go. And you know where all this comes from? When you go to our site, you'll see live streaming, our business services, live streaming strategy. This is live streaming as a service, which is a phrase I coined about 2 years ago. Brand storytelling and engagement. And we've got in there the pinnacle, the fundamental bit for me, the foundation, organizational change. I always do a discovery meeting in person with somebody if I can, if not in length in the studio, and I get to know about them. What's their why? What's their business, their product, their service? And by doing that, I then find out from day one what it is they're actually looking for, what their story is we can tell, what their products and services, and who they work with. And before you know it, you've got a set of 3 shows that you can showcase to them to get them up and running. It just doesn't stop. I'm gone. I'll get my coat. I'm gone.
He's gone. Right, I want to say, just a minute. Have I lost him entirely? No, I haven't.
No, I'm here.
Hang on a minute.
Not that easy.
No, just a minute. I'm missing somebody. Just a second.
Chris. Yay!
Yay.
Okay. I wish I got a recording of behind the scenes on this. I think I can describe exactly what's happening. Now, Chris, you said you were planning some shows. Where are you going to find your guests?
Well, for me, that's a special thing because I have a specialized show. I need experts, antique people. And I will do 5 things to find them. I have made a little note so I can't forget something. Of course, I have my own network. The people that I know, they can become good guests, so that's no problem. Then I can see what are the trends in antiques, and I can invite people when something is happening at the museum or if there is some exhibition. So I can have them too in the show. Of course, I have the social media to see and the Facebook groups to see who is responding there. And I can invite them in the show. And then I have something special. Today, I am an international student, as you know, in Canada, but also in the Netherlands. And today, I am in a Samba Kickstart project to learn everything about a business, how you can start a business, and how I can monetize my YouTube channel, because it will be a channel that costs a lot. And yeah, I can't go to the bank or stop after 3 or 5 shows. So I must see that I have a little bit income to make the show qualitative and to stay with a qualitative show and also with my coach. So what I do today, I will send out a survey to all the antique people, the dealers in the Netherlands and in Belgium, with good questions so that I can see who they are, what are their problems, what they want. And then I can make an offer for them, and I can teach them how they can be in my show, so that they know everything what they must know to have a good interview and to make also some demos with their real pieces. That's an extra that I will do, and I must send it out today. Yeah.
Right. To round up, I'm just trying to get over. Just a minute. Okay. Now, who have I lost? No, still here. Well, now, basically, when normally when I put an agenda together, at this stage of the show, I've finished it. I'm just doing the summary. So I'm going to end the formal part of this broadcast, and then in the last 10 minutes, we can just have a chat about anything you fancy. But Nick, inviting guests or finding guests?
Finding guests. Well, yeah, I touched on it a little bit earlier. Facebook groups for me is the way to go. There are just so many different Facebook groups. You can just go join them, and you will find, particularly, I mean, on my niche I was doing, I wanted local businesses. So just typed in the town, typed in business, and lots of groups pop up. And I guarantee you'll get people of all walks of life wanting to come on, just promote their business for free. It's, what's not to love about that? What I did do back in the pandemic days was I tried not to have competing businesses at any time. So it gave it that little bit of scarcity as well. So I only had one firm of solicitors, one vets, one XYZ. And that way, it just gave it that fear of missing out, all those little marketing things that we know and love. It's just, and people just come to it. Now, the most recent one I did, it was back end last year, last autumn, and I just dropped there was a Facebook group I'm in, lots of coaches, consultants, those types of people. I just dropped it in. Anyone want to be interviewed live streaming? I think I had 40 people message me.
Right.
But you have to sift it out. But also in groups as well, of course. You can dial into LinkedIn. If you've got the pro version as well, you can scrape their names and email addresses. Super, super simple.
Brilliant. Right. Now, basically what we're going to move on to now is a question that wasn't on the list. And it's open house. You can chip in and talk whenever you like. Why is live broadcasting so enjoyable and powerful?
I think for me, it's the closest you can get to a conversation with another person. It's that two-way thing. It's authentic. It's real. It's not perfect. We all, every single one of us has that phrase. Oh, that's the joys of live. We know it's not perfect, and I think its imperfection is what makes it authentic and makes it real.
I totally agree. It's when things go wrong that you have the most fun.
Yeah.
Or trying to find out what went wrong, and then trying to fix it, and then keep the audience engaged whilst you're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I remember not so long last year, wasn't it, Stephen, or early last year, when we were just seeing how many cameras and how many things we could actually have on our stream while we were live streaming on Amazon, which was great fun. But that's a word of warning, though. If you live stream with Stephen Healey and Grant Saunders, then you kind of find, and Marco, you kind of find yourself buying more and more kit, things that you didn't realise you needed.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the Stream Deck, which is down to Marco.
Yeah, I got my Stream Deck. Yeah,
that's mine's back here as well.
Yeah.
I felt embarrassed. I was the only boy in the room without a Stream Deck.
I've just purchased one of those electronic stand-up, move up and down desk things, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
Well, I'm gonna give my 2 cents about the one of the biggest things about live streaming. It's, for me, by far the best way for you to build authority. Why? And by these days, this is even more important because we can see the space crowded with AI tools. So it's pretty easy for us to be seen as authorities because we can go to ChatGPT. Please write me an article that will make me shine like a star about this topic. There you go. Even though, for instance, if we write the same prompts, we will get probably the same output, but probably our communities won't collide, so we will be seen, oh, this guy knows a lot about this. The thing is, probably Stephen would have the same written piece that I will get, and so no big deal on that. And so far, live streaming, it's kind of, how can I say, immune to this. So many things. One, you are in the front of the camera, so I believe that you won't be reading the articles that ChatGPT just came to you about, okay, today I'm going to give you 5 tips. Let me read them. So I believe this won't work. But even more importantly, you never know who's watching and what they will ask you. And this is where the magic happens, is how you face, how you respond to those provocative questions that you don't know who is asking and what they will be bringing to you. So let me share this, even though I believe that, and I don't know if you read my prediction in the book.
Of course we do.
I really think that, I made this title. This will be the year of the delegation with AI, because I see AI as a delegation tool, like for freelancers. I believe that all of us, we are freelancers. We are the one all instruments player. So to save time, to make our work more effective, AI, it's awesome. But it's not the main character in the movie. it will be you. And I hope that AI won't steal this stage to us. I need to say it. I'm a little bit excited, but in the same uh, at the same level, I'm a little bit scared, because one of the things that I believe that AI could cause, because human people, we are by nature lazy. Let's face it, we are by nature lazy. And I think you understand what I'm trying to get to. So I believe, back into the topic, that being in front of the camera, being exposed to whatever may happen, it's by far the best way for you to build authority, because it's just you, no net, uh, no, okay, I can go there and write something, ChatGPT. No, it's just you, your knowledge. Also, being open to learn from others, also being open to not know what they are asking you, and being open and humble to say, I don't know, but I will go back to you in a while, because I need to study, I need to understand what you're asking. This will be for me, for I think, for a little bit more, the biggest advantage of live streaming. Back to you, Stephen.
Thank you very much. This is most decidedly live broadcasting, where anything can happen and probably will. One thing it isn't, this is nothing like a Zoom call, Bridgetti.
No, it absolutely isn't. And, following up on what Marco said, for me, the most exciting thing about live streaming is that it's a unique space in which we get to play. Broadcasting has been around since I was a child. And I still remember the first time when, television launched itself. It was a big, big deal. And since then, it's changed in leaps and bounds. What's exciting about the space we get to play in is that it's completely different. Television broadcasting is highly produced. It's one way, it's not engaging.
Absolutely.
It's only sending information out. We get to play in a space where we can engage with the audience, where the audience can influence the direction of the show if we let it. We have that kind of carte blanche. So even though, and I know we've got run of show on the agenda. So even though we may have a run of show, it's still up to you as the executive producer of your show to allow, if that's the nature of your show, your audience to influence what you talk about. It may not have been on your agenda, but it is something that you have complete control over, which is absolutely fantabulous, which is a word I often like to use. And I think this is what is exciting for me, is the fact that it's opening up opportunities for us to play in a space where we can offer a service to the business community that is a fraction of the cost of broadcasting.
Indeed.
And we can make products and services available to their clients and have conversations with their clients. It opens all kinds of doors and opportunities. So that's what excites me about live streaming. And we're just at the cusp of it still. We may have been doing this for 7 to 10 years, but we're still at the cusp of it. Over to you, Stephen.
Back to me. Basically, to you, Joe, what's the magic?
The magic is it allows you to be authentic. It allows you to engage. One of the things I tied in with the digital marketing agency, not only because it's run by a pal of mine, but I didn't know what I didn't know. I'm not a businessman. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a marketer. Not any of those things. But I am very good at engaging. I am very good at playing snooker. So you're looking 2 shots ahead. So my core process for me is visualizing belief. I can visualize something that hasn't been, close my eyes, see it, and then believe I can go off and do it. but by pulling in those right people who will help. So one of the things about marketing I've learned is the next gen that CEOs and marketing directors and business development managers want is building communities where they're building that trust. So that's why it's part of our elevator pitch now, part of our mission. We build, that's what we've been doing. We build thriving communities where that trust is there, where it's tied in. But I love the piece that Marco said about AI, because myself and Marco have had long discussions on this. What doesn't change in the next 10 years is Big Joe Shepp. I've been called Big Joe Shepp. In fact, I got told off by Bridgetti. I put my name on today. She's like my great aunt, not in an age way, but in a guidance way. And she's quite right, because everybody's known me since I was 14 as BJS. That's part of my marketing. But I've had to temper what I'm doing, but nothing will change about me. So AI, for example, has to be humanized. So yes, I've got lots of AI tools. I take them, I then humanize it in the form of Big Joe Shepp. So what I write, what I put out has my flavor. So everything you read, see, think, whether you like it or not, is in the persona of Big Joe Shepp, because that's my views. There is no easier way than being able to. Anytime I'm speaking to somebody, the first thing they do is they get a link, get in the studio, let me see the whites of your eyes. Let me build that relationship. One of the first things I say to anybody is, listen, if we agree something and we go through it and we can build, I want to be working with you for the next 15 or 20 years. I don't want any of this where you get in, I'll provide live streaming as a service, pay me, and then I'll bugger off again until the next time. I want to build that with them. There is nothing about live streaming, but it is not a panacea for all. It is, for some people, it's the emperor's new clothes, but it's not. So that's why, for me, the trilogy of engagement, that live streaming, when you're doing the strategy, must tie in with social media and marketing strategies. And yes, they are all different. You then provide live streaming as a service where you tell brand storytelling and brand engagement, and it's underpinned by the organizational change. There is nothing in the world like streaming live. And I love, Grant Lovely said, I love the imperfections, because I have so many imperfections, including not shutting up, that it's great. It doesn't have to be. I put a lot of time and effort into looking as professional as I can. But you know what? When I press the button and I go live, I am for a good time, not a long time, and I'm here to have some crack, as we would say in Ireland. And that's fun, by the way, not the white stuff. Stephen, back to you, sir.
But the thing about live broadcasting is once you've got your self-belief and you've got your camera confidence, it is a place where you can do absolutely anything. You could actually play a Trivia Plaza movie quiz on a Tuesday. Nick?
You can indeed. And sometimes you can play it really badly. It works so well because we randomly pick the topics. We don't know what the answers are going to be. Sometimes we're like, oh, we're all over it. And other times we're like, what on earth did we pick here? It is absolutely crazy. But we used to tell people, particularly the local businesses, I say, yeah, look, this is the fastest way you will get trust and credibility. Absolutely. Because when you're live streaming, there's nowhere to hide. It's not like you're making a video and you can correct yourself and make it all shiny and perfect. No, as Marco said as well, you don't know what people are going to ask you. And so if people ask you any question, then you're on the spot. And that just comes through. And I think sometimes we forget just what a skill we all have acquired over the last years, because for so many people, even just to appear on a video, they go into blind panic. I often tell the story. I've recorded once years ago a fantastic presentation by these two sales guys for a local chamber of commerce thing. And what they didn't do was we didn't get a chance. It was England were playing a World Cup game. They had to get back up north. And so we didn't get a chance to do some segues, little segments. And so I said to the guys, I said, look, next time you're down in Farnborough, come in. I've got the big green screen wall in the offices I was at the time. And I said, we'll just do them. And this guy who was the most articulate and brilliant presenter, put him in front of a camera, and it took all day. It just, even though he had a written script, it just wouldn't work. And so I think we do kind of forget that we are a very skilled set of individuals sitting here.
And finally, Chris, what is the
Well,
magic of live broadcasting to you?
for me, the magic is the engagement with the people. You have interactions, you learn to know new people from all over the world. That's magic. But I think there is something more. I believe that live streaming can save YouTube. And why it can save YouTube? Well, that's a very special thing. You see that in the last days and even months, there are YouTubers that are well known and that disappear. And the reason is burnout. And that's because people are more and more demanding. And when you don't have a team, then it's very difficult to go weekly with a show, to do everything yourself, and to do the editing. That costs time and money sometimes. And without a team, that's really impossible. So people become tired and they cannot produce anything more, so they go away. But I will do such a thing, but a little bit smarter. I will take live streams and record the things. And then I have more time for the recorded things. I will do everything myself. But when I have a live stream, I don't have so much work on it. And that makes it doable. As a person alone, I don't have a co-host and I don't have a team. I don't have the money to delegate something. The only thing that I can do that is use AI as an assistant to make something for me that's possible, or to translate something for me. My homework for Canada, I write it in Dutch. Then I say, ChatGPT, please, will you translate this for me? And that machine does that, and I can send my homework. And that's a great time saver. But so I really think that with live stream, we can save YouTube. When we are clever enough to do the two things, the live streams, and also very perfect editing things, and then people have all what I need, and we can survive too. And that's very important. And we have the connection, so it's even better. Yeah.
Now, what will happen at the end of this broadcast is that our studio will self-destruct and we'll all disappear as one. So I want to say a big thank you to Nick, to Bridgetti, and, well, to Marco and to Grant, and to the big guy top right, and, of course, to my friend in Belgium. Thank you to everybody who's watched us. We may be back. There are so many things that we can do together. This has been the most enjoyable time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Steve.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
We will disappear.